Hey, this is Chris from Florida Music again, and we're looking at Easy Drummer, the new plugin from Toontrack for drum emulation. This one has a lot of new features that we haven't seen on some things. It's obviously a lot easier to use than any other drum library I've seen so far. The graphics you can see here are pretty sweet. It got the 5 drums and 4 cymbals. Now you can pick what sounds you want on each drum. You can see that there's different brand names that we know and love. Even the types of beater on the bass drum here, from a felt to a plastic, to get the sound we need. And again, on the cymbals we can adjust the different types from Sabian and so on. So pretty sweet. You can actually audition the sound just by clicking the actual area you want to hear. You can even click the edges to get the sound of what's going to go and happen on the side stick. And we can even adjust the mixer for the different mics that you kind of see here. This is kind of more or less what a picture of what was really used. You can see there's overhead mics and rear mics and so on. And we can actually adjust that. I'm using a keyboard controller here to actually play this, so we'll just give you a quick listen to what happens here. So it responds very well to the keys. The velocity layers of different sounds happen on different velocities, of course, and on cymbals. If you wish, you can actually snub the sounds, but if you've got a controller that has aftertouch, you may be using drum pads, or you may be using triggers and stuff, but here I'm using keyboard, which actually has aftertouch, so if I press hard, it snubs the cymbal. So as I press hard afterwards. So that's a nice feature there. The mixer here allows us to adjust the way it sounds. So here's the mic positions. It says room, overhead, it has bottom and top snare, and I can just move these down to get an idea of what it's going to sound like. So that's the room mic, and we can get the overhead adjustment. And then we're right back to dry, kind of close mic feel. Things like bleed control can be adjusted. You can hear that tom is resonating the snare. I can switch that off. And we can adjust this for whatever tracks we're trying to do, obviously. There are some presets. We can just go for different ones. We can go back to the default here. We're back to where it was. Now, of course, if you're not a great programmer on the keys or on drum pads, they've actually given you grooves in this. And you can see the library here is listed with several different types. Now, each one you load in, as far as the fact that this is the default set from the default factory, but there are expansions. So some of these you see here from the expansions, but the one here on the top here is from the standard set. The expansions are listed here, so these are the 2 that you get when you buy the product, and then the other 2 you can buy, or there's actually more than that now, but you can buy expansions, and they'll give you not only new drum sounds, but new pattern libraries. So I'm on this rock and pop pattern library, and we'll just go down to say funk rock, pick maybe groove 10, and there's names here that you can pick on the right hand side to get the type of pattern you want, and they're kind of descriptive. It says hats, eighth, tight, closed, open, ghost. Well, that's maybe not that descriptive, but what it really means is it's a tightly closed hi-hat played with eighth notes and with an occasional open, and it's got a ghost track on the snare, a little ghosting going on in the background. Now we can play this. Now these are MIDI patterns that are playing the sample engine, so I can play this here. And you can hear the ghosting track. Now to control the way he plays, whether dynamic wise, there's a small velocity control here. I can adjust that to say mid quarter 2 point. And I can make him bash the hell out of the drums by moving it around the quarter past. And I'm going to pick a kind of place in the middle. Now once we've found our pattern, what do we do? Well, if you're using it in a sequencer program like I'm using here, you just nearly drag it and let go. And you can place it wherever you need. Now, because it's a MIDI pattern, it's going to match the tempo here of the fixed 110 that I've got. If you really wanted a fill-in break sort of sound, you've got different breaks here. You can see there's 1-beat breaks, or there's 4-beat breaks. And then they're listed again in a descriptive manner from mild up to mad. Well, that's me for sure. We'll go for the flash one here. Listen. Yeah, it's pretty flash. And that's a kind of a neat way of dragging. Again, if we wanted that, we just drag it in to let go. So let's go back to that funk pattern, and I'll just use that in some sort of context here. So we'll pick that number 9 again. We'll shove that on the end and let go, and place it in the right place. Now, of course, I don't need the groove anymore. I can go back to the main picture, reset this, and play. We'll get an idea of what it sounds like with the bass track that I previously put in. As you see, it matches very well with the patch and the pattern I've already put in there. So it's really a sweet tool to use. There's really not much to say anymore about it because it's just that easy. There's not much to worry about, not much to do, and you can just jam. Well, thanks again for watching. This is Chris again from Florida Music, and I think it's time for some music.